yelling at me.
I'm just looking for some pizzazz. That's it, I guess.
But I like Brian Billick, and I like what he's been adding. If they could break up the tandem
I thought
of
he
Joe
struggled a
Buck and
little
Troy,
bit, though, yesterday.
maybe it was because I think he needs the visual aids and he needs a teleprompter to coach and to be able to do his thing. I'll cop out and say that and maybe apologize for him for that. But typically he's pretty good at what he does.
But I mean, at the same time, like, how long has he been doing it? Can't like ad lib.
True, you would think.
I mean, you would think, but then again, at the same time, I mean,
right. But when typically a lot of color analysts will just say, stop it here, take a look at where they're setting up, and they'll play around with the telestrator or draw a circle,
and the puck ends up in the back of the net. Oh wait,
exactly. Or I was going to say in Rondé Barber's case, drawing rather more adult themed objects.
Wow, was that close, wasn't it? That was that really looked like a penis.
Twice, 2 times. Yes. So yeah. Oh, it's been fun. As we were mentioning before, though, just a quick change here, but the Bulls have decided to stop negotiations with Waldang, and I'm very glad that that's the case because he's just absolutely not worth it. And that sums up.
He's a nice complimentary player, not worth what he's going to be demanding. He already wasn't worth what the Bulls were going to offer, in my opinion, anyways. So I say let him test free agency, let other teams pay him what I wouldn't be willing to pay him. And bring Butler up into the starting lineup. I have no problems with that.
Yeah, I don't either. And speaking of players that, they're not going to get paid by Chicago teams, I don't know about you, but while Brian Urlacher is not the warmest, cuddliest, friendliest bear that's been around to come through the organization, I got to say, he's really showing his colors in just being a complete baby. And in case you missed it last week, he happened to tell NFL or Fox Sports 1, which he's now employed by out in Los Angeles, that he didn't get a farewell text message or phone call from Jay Cutler, as if that is going to try to stoke a fire against Jay Cutler or, kind of feed into, for lack of a better term, stupid fans' thoughts on Jay Cutler.
Yeah, but it's funny because I think it's backfiring on Urlacher. I don't know what how the national outlook on him is. This city is kind of like, just go away. Cutler is actually gaining fans,
that's what winning does,
right? It's kind of surprising this late in his tenure here that he can be gaining fans now. But like you said, that's what winning does. And I guess everyone forgot what Brian Urlacher called Jay Cutler before he became a Bear. When the Bears signed Jay Cutler, Brian Urlacher said that Jay Cutler was a pussy. So I don't know why Jay Cutler would then go out and extend his warmest wishes for Brian Urlacher after he said that about Jay Cutler. I'm guessing Jay Cutler hasn't forgotten about that.
Yeah, I wouldn't suspect that he has, and it's not like, what someone said this. Do you really think that Tom Brady called Tim Tebow when Tebow was cut from the Patriots earlier before the season started? I certainly don't think so.
Well, maybe he might have called him asking for forgiveness or something, but
yeah, because he is college football Jesus.
Yes, confess his sins. He wanted to confess his sins. Yes.
College football Jesus. Nice. So does that make Johnny Manziel college football the devil? Or no?
Well, that's a good way of putting it. Did you happen to see any of the either of you guys happen to see the Alabama game?
I did not see it, but I was definitely. I saw every comment on Twitter.
Honestly, it was one of the best college games I've seen in a very long time. Highly entertaining. Couldn't believe actually that A&M actually got back into the game after being up 14-0 and then Bama pouring it on. It was back and forth, highly entertaining. I wish kind of that it was like they could play 2 division games so that they could play again, because that was something.
Yeah, it really was. Stay tuned as we will have Anthony Alex on for his analysis of the Alabama Texas A&M matchup, and we will join that after a quick break here on Chicago Sports Update.
Don't you spend enough time waiting for patches, system updates, and even worse, title updates? On Lag Free, we won't waste your time, and we talk about the topics that you want to hear about in a decidedly different fashion. No scripts or forced sides here. Listen to Lag Free, recorded and released regularly on Intrepid Audio Productions.
And welcome back to Chicago Sports Update here on IEP Podcast. And we welcome in Anthony Alex on the From Page to Screen hotline. Visit FromPageToScreen.com and follow them on Twitter at From Page to Screen. So welcome in, Anthony Alex. You had, wow, what a game this past week that Alabama had coming off their bye week. The pressure was on as they took on one of the most popular characters, for good or bad, right now in college football, in Johnny Manziel and Texas A&M. First visit for the Crimson Tide to I think it was Kyle Field.
Yep.
Yep. For A&M. So they walked away with a victory. It certainly wasn't easily gained, but your thoughts?
Well, Matt, if you remember last year, the only game Alabama lost was to Texas A&M. And that game started out with Alabama being 20 points behind. And I'm trying to finish up the mail route. I'm listening to it. And when I hear them go down by 14, I'm like, oh, Lord, not again. I'm like, what in the world? Because I'm not watching it. I'm just listening to the radio as I deliver mail. And then so then I finally get back in the car, and I hear Alabama scored. I'm like, okay, well, 14. You spotted 14. Now you're back in it. Well, when I finally get to a screen to watch it, I do see A.J. McCarron, which everybody's, talking Heisman and stuff for him now and all that. I see him miss a couple throws, and then I also see receivers drop a couple balls, and I'm like, are these guys just that nervous or what? I mean, these guys have shown their talent in the past, but A.J.'s like, leading people a little too much, throwing the ball behind somebody. 3 or 4 receivers get hit in the hands and drop it. Amari Cooper uncharacteristically drops, I think, 2 in a row. I think he gets a third one. He catches the third one that's thrown to him after that. I'm just like, good grief, guys, what's going on? Well, then in the second quarter, they kind of put all that behind them and cranked off 21. So I'm like, at halftime, 28-14. I'm like, now this is all right. We're okay. Things are under control. They've adjusted to Manziel's speed. And I've got to say, and I talked a little bit on Twitter, Manziel is not a pro quarterback, first of all. There's no way a little short dude like that is going to go in the pros. He's going to be a Tebow type deal. He'll go there, and he slings a lot of just lame ducks up in the air and all that. He's not a pro quarterback. But this kid can make – good grief, anything out of a big pile of crap. I've seen look like a lineman was sitting on top of him back in the back, and somehow he still threw a 40-yard pass complete. It doesn't make any sense what this kid can do. It's crazy. Now, he threw 2 interceptions because he was doing that, but he also threw 5 touchdown passes. And Texas A&M's receiver, Evans, this kid's huge. Well, he's like 6'5", and Alabama doesn't have anybody anybody that can cover him out there. Alabama's, I think their tallest DB is like 6'1", and their number 1 guy ended up getting injured. So we're working with Cyrus Jones was covering him part of the day. Last year, Cyrus Jones was a receiver. So they've moved him to the defensive back position, trying to find a place where they could use his speed and stuff because we're stacked at wide receiver, and he was just never going to get to play. They moved him back there, so he's like just learning that position. And now he's on the 6'5", catch everything monster out there with Manziel just throwing jump balls all day. Yeah. So it was pretty crazy. The defense just was hanging on for dear life. This is not a standard Alabama defense. Of course, they looked great last week or week before last against Virginia Tech. But now we've got these guys just getting blown up. And I'm still undecided. Are they that bad, or is Johnny Manziel just so unusual that he's just doing stuff that, I mean, if you've got a coach that's used to scheming for particular kinds of offense, and you got a guy just like making it up as he goes, I don't even know how you scheme for that. How do you scheme for a guy just making it up as he goes?
You're right. It was very difficult. And in the first quarter, I mean, especially, A&M came out just like gangbusters. And they were as fast-paced as you could imagine. This was something probably most similarly run out of Oregon as far as the pace was concerned. It was looking like it honestly looked like boys versus men. And it didn't look fair, but A&M came out feeding off the crowd, the energy of the crowd, the 12th man, as it were, and really just doing everything in such a fast pace that they didn't let the defense, being Alabama, get set to react in the right, appropriate way. Now, I don't know why it happened, but it seemed like after that second possession, everything sort of settled down for A&M, and they weren't able to maintain that fast pace. You saw stops from Alabama, but I don't know why they didn't keep up that pace. Maybe they just couldn't do it. It's certainly something that was seemingly unsustainable, but it was very intense. It was exhausting. It was like, oh man, if this is going to keep up, they're going to clown the Crimson Tide, and that it didn't end up being the case. But there was something interesting that CBS ended up doing. At least that's who broadcasted it, at least for us, and I think across the nation. Yeah. But someone brought up a flow chart of how to scheme against a pistol spread option, which is what Manziel's in right now. And one of the key things that was in there is trust your positioning and trust the call. Yeah. Be where you're supposed to be and trust the call. And that, to me, is something that transitions into the pro-style defense. That's something that I'm very familiar with, just hearing a lot of the cover 2 defense and what the Chicago Bears play here at the pro level. And their job is you'll get turnovers by just being in the right place at the right time. And a lot of that seemed to transition against Manziel and A&M and what their defense was doing. Certainly playing a zone and getting that one of the better cornerbacks or safeties on on Evans, the really big guy, proved to help. But for the first quarter, it was all A&M, and there's really not much that Alabama could do against that. And they let them tucker themselves out and let them get tired, let them kind of fall back a little bit. They had to be feeling very good that they already put a 14 spot early up. Right. And, McCarron, I'll give him credit. He settled down and he played exactly how a pro is supposed to play. And that is execute when you can, get long sustaining drives. And that's what happened. At one point, there was a drive that resulted in the first tied score that it was consecutive first downs on every play, whether it was in the run, whether it was in the pass. It was just every play. They're moving the sticks another 10, 15 yards and keeping the A&M offense off the field. And that almost seemed to throw off their rhythm. That comment was made by the commentating staff, CBS, his commentating crew, that the best way to stop a fast-paced offense is to keep your offense on the on the field.
Keep them on the bench over there, right?
Yeah. But after that, that's when the tide turned. No pun intended. But after that long drive happened, you saw the Tide just put up a stop and force a punt. From there, they scored again. Tide